So, welcome back to the Embodiment and Accountability Podcast. Today it's episode 18, and I'll be sharing the mic with my beautiful friend Rebecca, and we're going to be talking about using breath work to shift how we feel and all of what that encompasses, the ins and out of everything in between. So, welcome, Rebecca. How are you?
Thank you. Hey, Ariana, thank you so much for having me on. Beautiful sister with just the beaming smile and that you're just such a kind, loving soul. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so pleased to be here. And way to go for being on episode 18. You are
Thank you.
rocking it. I feel like just a moment ago you were starting and you were on episode 18. So power to you, sister.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I'm just always happy to talk to you because, yeah, I just love you so much.
Oh,
So
same.
please, thank you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, if you will.
Okay, so I'm based in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think it's always fun and juicy in this internet global space to share where we're from. It's a good starting point. I'm from the East Coast. I was born in New Jersey, but I have been living here. It's going to be 8 years. I'm coming up on 8 years. I've pretty much spent my 40s so now you know how old I am too. in
I'm
um
40, so
in
it's good.
in Albuquerque. And I have a podcast. I'm also my main thing is I am a breathwork facilitator. So you and I met through a school that teaches and a community, kind of like a global
Mhm.
tribe that teaches people all the embodiment techniques. They have a breathwork program. They have a somatic coaching program. You're this incredible somatic coach. And so I have been on this breathwork journey. And I'd say for about the last 2 years or so, I have been outside of working a typical 9 to 5, 40 hour a week job, which I was doing for years beforehand. So breathwork is my new chapter of being self-employed and doing something a little bit different.
Beautiful. I love that. And so you help people in general to
I
do.
help people, men and women. I think I would say
Mhm.
women, maybe 30 women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, women of all ages seem to gravitate towards me.
Mhm.
So I've been probably more women, like I'd say midlife or older, but I am actually probably just like you, working on that whole little niche of who I very specifically serve, but mainly I find that we are our best client. We know the trials and tribulations. So I tend to work with women who, just like me, might be late bloomers. I consider myself a late bloomer, might have struggled with things like self confidence or, other things that, I have been roadblocks for me in my life. A lot of things that can be rooted down to self confidence, habits or addictions or other things. And if you really boil it down, it's how I feel. And am I running away from how I feel? So breath work brings me into my body and allows me to process feelings and kind of disassociate and know that I am not my feelings. I am having them. I am the human being having them, but I am so much bigger and I have the ability to shift my energy. So wow, I just went down the deep end with that. That was not an elevator statement, but I serve women, men and women, but mostly women who are struggling through transitions, struggling to feel happier, more whole, struggling with grief, trying to manifest better things, better love.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. So powerful, to be in this type of work that we get to really embody it first, to then share it with the world and just be like, hey, it's working. Let's go, It's gonna be like amazing. Let me tell you about it.
Yes, and we embody it as we are beginning to share it. So one
Yeah.
thing for me was I I realized that, like, if I wait till I'm totally healed and totally gone from, like, here to here, I'll be waiting forever to start. So as I start to share breathwork with other people, it actually amplifies my own healing and my own experience. I love opportunities to experience breathwork as the person breathing, to be the client. I especially lately have really cherished opportunities to experience breathwork from other facilitators in person, because that has been just a really special experience. I don't get a lot of opportunities to receive it in person. So the more I practice, the more I receive, the better a teacher I am. And then it goes the other way. The more I'm facilitating, the more something inside of me is like, okay, we get to level up. For us to hold the space, we get to level up, and facilitating for other people brings things up in our own experience that we want to look at too.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's amazing.
Of course.
Yeah, and I feel
Good.
it ties in beautifully with the other question that I wanted to ask you, which is how do you feel breath work is helping you, like in your day-to-day life, in your business, all of the things? Maybe like broad question, but you know.
In so many ways. In the short term, so even just doing a few minutes, it's a way to it helps me relax. Sometimes in the morning when I wake up and there's those you wake up in the dark and there's those spinning thoughts. It's like you go from dream world to, okay, this is like a weird waking up space. Sometimes I'll just drop into a little bit of breath and it'll kind of clear some of the thinking and some of the thought bubbles and kind of clear the clouds a little bit and get me into my body. So it's a great way to instantly shift my energy. And then with deeper experiences, I think it's a really great way to kind of just excavate some of the stuff that doesn't have time to come up because we spend so much time in our heads and we're so busy. So it's specifically it has definitely given me just a more my default state is a little bit shinier and brighter and happier. It gives me, I guess you could call it, the kids are saying a better vibe. I'm
Yeah.
more of a vibe, you know?
Yeah.
So I think in terms of like big things, I started practicing breathwork regularly through someone I knew who actually was a pause graduate,
Oh.
and then getting my certificate. So that whole chapter kind of began about, I'd say about like 6 months ish after losing my father. This was back in 2023, going into 2024. And I didn't really know it at the time, but looking back, it definitely lifted me. It helped lift me out of a lot of the grief, not the grief up here so much, but the grief that goes to those places that we don't realize. So I remember when it was a long period of, I don't know if you would call it mourning, grieving, but the grief begins when the parent gets sick. Unless heaven forbid people lose parents suddenly, and that's also incredibly traumatic on a whole different level. But when you have a parent who's sick, the grief begins when they are not going to their time is very very limited. So um I just remember looking back, and I wasn't doing breath work at that point, just being so burnt out, just being so irritable. It was around the time that like I started to just feel that I had to quit my full-time 9 to 5, that it was time for a transition. I was losing my enthusiasm, but there would be all these times where I wasn't necessarily thinking consciously about my father and grieving him in my head, but everything else just seemed to be lower and heavier. And it's like this water that pours into all the little crevices of your life and makes it heavier. That's what grief does. And it doesn't have to be grief, it can be anything. It could be a toxic relationship, it could be career burnout, could be like the main culprit. I think in my case, career burnout was sort of like a secondary thing. But when I started to do breath work, and then later when I looked back on it, I think breath work started to kind of get a lot of that stuff that I had been holding on to out of my body, so that I felt my default state was better. So it can be really wonderful for all the things, you know, if someone was to ask you what are the things that are wrong in your life, maybe you'd be able to figure out what they are, but we're not going to get rid of them by figuring it out in our head. We're going to get rid of them by breathing and going into our bodies. And I also have a chanting practice. This is a Buddhist mantra, a Buddhist um, tradition and chanting practice that I've had for a while. Some would say chanting is a form of breath work. You're definitely going into some kind of a breathing pattern, but the focus is on the chant, and that moves mountains. That gets things fixed on the outside as well as on the inside, like you would not believe. It definitely brings me into my heart, definitely brings me to a deeper place of compassion, and it's a prayer. It definitely moves things in that sort of mystical 5D way that we can't always see and touch. So that has also been that has been a really beneficial practice in my life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because chanting goes with like the vibration of like the sound and using our own like instrument, which is the voice, and just like all of that, it like vibrates in all of like our cells, but also like in our energetic body. And so yeah, it's really an amazing practice. I don't do it often, but yeah, I really like it when I do. So thank you for sharing that.
You're so welcome. And I will say that it's a little bit up and down for me. Everything is discipline.
Mhm.
We don't always want to sit down and do the thing. We want to sit down and watch Netflix. We want to sit down and have that pint of ice cream. This is the human path, but we don't always want to do the thing that is going to have the really, really good end result. And then also about breath work, it has just um, made me more confident in general, just easier to communicate boundaries, easier to feel good in my body. And it kind of works in some of the kind of helps stave off some of the bad habits and actually inspires me to be more active at the gym, just all the things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's amazing because it really helps you. Well, first of all, you're just getting so much more oxygen in your body. Like, obviously,
Yeah.
that's like a great point. But all of the other things that does into your body physically, but also like touches on like the emotion and all of our like different bodies that we have. And it just really creates that beautiful alignment to our true self or like our higher self or soul, whatever we want to call it. And it's just like, that's why it feels so much better, so much lighter, so much more fun because we're in that better state, but in that truer state, if I could put it that way, than
Hmm.
in our like chaotic, not dysfunctional, but maybe, like all of the things that we think because of like the survival mind, because of, like everything that's stressful or this or that, or all of the emotions that are stuck in our bodies and that we put stories to how like we feel and oh that's why and that's this and like rationalize everything and it's all like just the logic and nothing else. That's how we survive basically. And that's not like a pleasant feeling in the body because it's just like high stress and it's I don't know. I just feel like it's like for me when I drank coffee. I was never like a coffee drinker, but it gave me like jitters. And so like that's why I'm not drinking it because like I don't feel like that like I feel like I'm shaking inside. And I feel like that's what for me that's the same feeling like when I'm too much in my head. I feel like it's like a chaotic energy, but I don't know like
Mm.
it's like like when frequencies are not like vibing at a I don't know the words harmonic.
In harmony, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't know, like a seesaw on something weird. I don't know, like the
Like it
what
rattles your nervous system. And I've gone all over the place with coffee too. I'm drinking mushroom coffee, which
Mm.
which is definitely a stimulant, but it can have a much more calming effect. And
Yeah,
then the mushrooms and the nutrients they
yeah.
put in it
Hmm.
help kind of balance out some of that. But I hear you on that. Yeah, we become more sensitive to things that are artificially joyful or up, as opposed to what we can bring inside. I
Hmm.
remember I went to a breathwork session about a month ago in person, and I tried. This was a very it was a little bit different from the breath work that we do at Pause. It was definitely a very intense breathing pattern done without a break for a big chunk of time. Not a big chunk of time, but there's no like, okay, take a break. You can if you want to, but it was a pretty intense session followed by a sound bath, and I just felt that in my whole being. That was really, really powerful, and it was great because I don't get to go, as I said, in person that often. And I remember I went shopping afterwards, and I went to this. I tend to get very overwhelmed in stores. I love to have things. I don't want to make the decisions. I don't want to look. I get super overwhelmed. But I remember being in the store afterwards, and at first I was a little bit like, but then I stopped myself because the wisdom comes in when we're doing this work. And I said, you're not, this isn't supposed to be work. You're not doing this because it's supposed to, why don't you just have fun? And if you see something that you like, no expectations, see something that
Yeah.
you like, say, would that be fun to have? And I was able to remove that block and enjoy this experience. And actually, I'm kind of like, I've been wanting to go back to that one store for a while now, but I ended up just having fun. And I got a few things that just go really good in my house. I got a dress for an event that I was hosting. So yeah, I just remember that was like, okay, that's what's happening when we're breathing. We're kind of excavating a lot of the stress and the stories and the perfectionism and the things that are very, very stiff. Like, okay, well, you better have a plan and you better know you gotta get this and you gotta get this and the house has to look like this. And if you think about it like that, and if you have that kind of energy going into a store, of course you're going to get overwhelmed. So,
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for sharing that example because sometimes we think like, oh, I need to have like this grand experience, this big shift, this big this, that, and like because we see it online, right? Like people sharing their
mhm,
success and all of that, and it's really amazing. But then you're like, oh, well, is it really gonna happen to me? But then what I feel I'm starting to notice more is the little things. Like everything is
mhm.
in the little things. It was my last podcast was named the little things, but what I mean by that
Love
is
that.
it's thank you. It's not supposed to always just be like we're not supposed to be living for just like the big things, the big dreams, the big, it's like we're not, yeah, oh, what's the saying? Like the joy is in the journey, not necessarily just the destination or something like that.
Exactly.
Not maybe I'm butchering it, but whatever. But it's just yeah, having those little moments here and there, and then the more that we have them, the more that we have them. So like Sam, our mentor, says, the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets. And
Yes.
so like whenever we're doing these little things that like microscopic shifts, if you will, then we're like, oh, it's possible and it was easy and fun and oh, that was not like too
Mhm,
much work because like the mind is just
mhm.
like, oh no, it's gonna be like so much work like to get like you to the top of the mountain and it's like it's gonna take days, months, maybe years, who knows? And it's just like, no, we just need to like do like the little things and then it stacks, like with time and even maybe it magnifies faster. Who knows? But
Yes.
that's not like the point is not we're not supposed to be like arriving to the destination like magically in a snap of the fingers. So I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it. Like what if every little step was a little win? And
Mhm.
what if we didn't even have to look at it as a win? It just gets to be fun. Like
Ah,
this gets to be fun. Like I
yeah.
like that. Not, well, would that go in my room? And then if it did, would this fit with it? And then if I put it there, would I not I tend to be like that.
Mhm.
And then I don't get anything done and my space never gets redecorated. um, but I Yeah, it's those little things along the way to anything and just taking a step and then taking another step, but really enjoying the process.
Yeah,
Enjoying the process.
yeah, exactly. And like the title of my podcast is like accountability. And so having that fun element in is going to be easier to stay accountable than to just having regimented and oh no, we have to do this every day, blah, 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 and like I have to meditate for 30 minutes, I have to do my breath work every morning, or else that's not fun. It's like, oh, I get
Yeah,
to do my breath work every morning when I wake up, like you were mentioning to me earlier when we were talking before
get
recording.
to.
Yeah. And like you feel so much better when you do. And so that's why I'm like, why aren't we doing that? Right?
It's so funny you brought up so many things that are in my heart. But there is another podcast, and it's the podcast host is this woman. You might have heard of her, Emily Fletcher. So now I guess I'm giving
Mm.
her a shout. But she is the meditation teacher for my silent meditation. I'm also in one of her manifestation courses. But my silent meditation practice, because I collect practices, is with Emily. And the title of her podcast is Why Isn't Everybody Doing This?
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
and that's like her through line. Why isn't everybody doing this? 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening, and I it was really, really cool to go through that meditation course and have somebody really kind of talk through all the little things that come up that we don't name. Like one of them is, hey, this can be boring, you know? Newsflash, it can be boring, but yes, we're not doing it to get a hit of excitement. We're not going on the
Yeah.
roller coaster ride for 15 minutes. We're sitting there and dropping into ourselves,
Yeah.
but there is something that starts to build inside that's really warm and juicy and wonderful, and it's so worth it. So, you
Yeah.
bring up a good point. There is this balance of, okay, do I want to have enough discipline to look at this as like a treasure, as like a privilege, and to that I get to do it? And do I want to have that discipline so I can get the result? And then what happens when we go and we learn more, and all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 practices, and we're supposed to do all of them every day? Now it's like, okay, it's getting a little too crowded in my meditative space. I don't have an hour for everything. So that's also been a fun journey. How do we balance? How do we, maybe we do one thing every day for a while. Maybe there's something that is always, some people, there's one thing and it's that is it every single day for their lives. And that's great. But we get to play around and we get to find, okay, what works, what works for us, what truly works for us, what might be a little bit harder than what somewhere in between. I'll just do what I want and I'm going to make this hard. Somewhere in between those
Yeah.
things is the perfect sweet spot for feeling good.
Yeah, exactly. And like the word that kept coming was like curiosity. Just having
Yes.
that child wonder and be like, ooh,
Yes.
I wonder how I'm gonna feel after that. Even if in the meantime, like while I'm doing it, it's uncomfortable or, not fun, or maybe like afterward, it'll feel like, oh, I feel more connected, more peaceful, more grounded. And that feels good. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I have another question for you, if you'd like.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, oh no, it was like, do you have a specific way that you use breath work? So you were mentioning a little bit about like doing it in the morning, but like, what does that look for you if you'd like to share?
So my breath work is kind of, so there's so many different size pieces to it. So sometimes when I want to just lie down and do some breath work, it'll be just that. It might not be a whole half hour or an hour, but especially if I'm just waking up, it will be like, we call them integrative sessions. It might be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, might even just be 5, but it'll be doing a breath pattern, whatever my body feels called to do, for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 breaths, couple minutes, taking a break, maybe going back into it. And that works for me really, really well in just getting me centered. getting me present, getting me in my body, getting me ready to start the day. And sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. There is a little bit of breathing that I do before my silent meditation, which can be very, very short. It's just this little a couple minutes of mindfulness and getting into the body before going into a silent meditation. And then there's long journeys. I will be honest with you, Ariane, and this is why I love what I do so much. For the long journeys, I really love to have somebody else guide me, even
Mhm.
if it's a pre-recording. Sometimes I'll do it on an app. I mean, the app is a little bit like, I don't even necessarily want to go for a long journey on an app, but if there is something that happens recently and it was recorded a few days ago, I can still connect to the present time of that
Mhm.
person's energy. And then, of course, having someone do it for me, either in person or virtually, is just really, really powerful because there's these, there's somebody witnessing your breath. There's somebody witnessing you holding the space. There's something energetic that happens when you're with someone who's in a very resourced, very balanced space, a high vibe. When someone's in a high vibe holding the space, even if they're not saying anything, we tend to get very vulnerable when we do long breathing sessions. That's when deeper things tend to come up. And having that person's beautifully nourished, regulated being present for me actually helps hold the space for me and holds me through any of the stuff that I have to go through, and it elevates the experience. That's where we get the term holding space. It's
Mhm.
really not about so much doing as just being there and being really present with the person. So when someone is really present with me, I can feel it. And then you get this beautiful cueing, you get these beautiful
Yeah.
invitations, and we
Mhm.
don't want to think too much while we're breathing. So if there's somebody else or there's music that is going to offer certain visuals, certain feelings, that gives me a chance to just absorb it. Like someone saying, feeling the light in your heart continuing to open. Words like that will land in a way I don't want to have to think of them myself. There are some people that breathe to their own recorded sessions. I haven't done that as much. But I just think it's really, really beautiful for a long session, anything longer than a half hour, to have to be guided.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what you're doing too with your clients, right? That's like
Yes.
exactly like the experience that you're providing, the space holding, the subtle
Mhm.
cues that are coming from your truly aligned self, your intuition and like how you're reading the energy and all of that. And so I think that's really beautiful to having those spaces and people that can really, yeah, just be there for you and support you and help you with, yeah, moving through some maybe more difficult emotions and things like that. And because yes, like you said, you can do it on your own. Obviously, everyone has that ability. Um, and I feel that's like something that I'm really passionate about, like community and just like having that connection between other people and like for me personally, like women having that beautiful connection and sisterhood, that's really dear to my heart because I just feel like it's so powerful to have those women just really like see you, understand you, and support you. It's more than just, oh, like it's a breathwork session, whatever. No, it's like you have all of that intermingling energy between the person and
Hmm.
you, and it's like so much more than just the breath work, as if breath work is not like something, but
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I noticed when we were at that retreat together, through our
yeah.
breathwork school, the advanced energetics, there wasn't even a lot of breath work. We were doing so many other things. There wasn't even a lot of just breath work there, but I was just in this super elevated state from just being around so many people who were showing up with open hearts.
Yeah.
If you're around people and they're just showing up with an open heart, wanting to meet
Mhm.
themselves, wanting
Yeah.
to take ownership for the stickier stuff, wanting to open and expand their consciousness, that alone, being around their intentions alone is a real elevator to everything. It's a way for our system to relax, for our system to go into that parasympathetic state of just being in a flow state, being rested, digested, to get a little sciencey now, being in that regulated nervous system state. And we need to be in that regulated nervous system state for us to be happy and joyful and
Yeah.
productive, but also to be creative and to do all the things that we want to do. So just being around those people is
Yeah.
so translating that to a breathwork session, just laying down, whether it's a private session or a group session, and having somebody who is holding the space for that, encouraging other people and encouraging you is just so powerful.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes people, and I do this too, feel that, okay, if I didn't have like an out of body experience, or if I didn't go to the moon and stars, if I didn't hear the voice of God, I didn't have,
Yeah.
a breathwork session. And that is simply, that's simply not true. Another thing that our mentor always says is intensity does not equal transformation.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Showing up,
exactly. Yeah.
showing up and being around other people that are honoring your showing up is really where the transformation begins.
I know. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it brought me back to like what I was saying about like the little things. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
like the Big Bang Theory like experience, like, oh my God, like you said, I talked to God or whatnot. It's like those little inside shifts that makes the most difference because they're regular. They're like, on a more regular basis than maybe the
Yeah.
big aha ones, right? And when we're connected with other people, it's like we're in this expansive energy and we're like
Hmm.
more open to grow and evolve and
Oh,
have
you
those,
bet.
yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, I just feel
Hmm. Hmm. I love, I love how this is lighting up in you.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
just on fire with this. That's so
yeah.
great. I feel the warmth and the heart energy. And I also, I want to share some things that I've been really discovering about breathwork recently. So we can associate it a lot with healing and getting emotions and stuck emotions out of the body. And as I was talking about getting away from grief or getting spaciousness from grief, breathwork is also a really powerful manifestation tool. So manifestation can be that's a real buzzword these days. It can be
Mhm.
real triggering. It was actually became a very triggering word to me, and it was so triggering that I decided to pay for a $1,500 course in manifesting because I said this is really triggering to me. I better go a little bit deeper. Why is this triggering me?
I
Um,
love that.
so that's definitely, we're taking a little bit of a left turn here. Oh, I can create things with my breath, but really, what we are always creating things. We are
Hmm.
always creating,
Yeah.
whether we like it or not, we are
Yeah.
creating things. So when we breathe, we get to get in touch with what's really in there and what we really want, get a felt sense of what we really want to call in, and it becomes a lot easier to kind of like intentionally create, and
Yeah.
um so this is a little bit of a deeper share. I got some hot seat coaching in this course that I'm in, and I was looking to bring more more of certain things, what I want to call in relationally with my partner and with the people in my life relationally is a little bit more of a higher vibe in the form of more connection, more passion, more humor, more peace. And so you know
Mm.
what this teacher said to me? She said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how peaceful are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how
Yeah.
humorous are you? And so we went through all of the things, and I got some very interesting journaling homework. But really, the big download was, well, how can I create these things inside? What does humor feel
Yeah.
like in my body?
Yeah.
What does when I come out of a meditation and I imagine having just the most passionate, you know, year of my life or the most passionate month? What does passion look like? What does it feel like to me?
Mhm.
And if I can know what it looks like and feels like and smells like for me, I can start to notice where it's already showing up on the outside. We can
Yeah.
choose to see, I know it's so juicy. We can choose to see the beautiful things. We don't bypass the hard things. This is why we do breath work because see, it's doing both. It's allowing you to not bypass. It's allowing you to work out, can I just say shit on
Yeah.
your body?
Yeah.
Work out the
Yeah.
shit, work out the shit, all the shit, but also start to get a felt sense with that space open. Okay, all these things that I think are unattainable, why don't I just feel them? This is how, this is what my day tomorrow would look like if I was really humorous, if I was really peaceful, if I was really passionate, this is what it would look like. This is what it would smell like. Whatever. Not everybody is visual or,
Yeah.
comes up with, oh, it smells like chocolate chip cookies. Some people might say that. But then we start to get into the vibe of it and we start to see it in our outside world. So part of my homework assignment is also, she told me, she's like, you're going to hate me now for giving you this one, but I want you to write down 3 times you find every day that you find that you see humor. Write down 3 times from somebody else, 3 times that you experience connection. Start to see the beauty in the people around me and not look for flaws and problems, which is what the
Mhm.
brain loves to do.
Yeah, yeah, because it's surviving. So it's like, ooh, let's see where the problems are so we don't get into that, or we try to solve things and so always like on
Yeah.
that, not fun vibe.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that. I love that. Such an
Mm-hmm.
amazing assignment because yeah, I feel like it's similar to like having gratitude journal or something like that to just
Mm-hmm.
like writing things or even just feeling them in your body, visualizing them and be like, ooh, that feels like juicy. That feels good because I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy that it's in my life or that it's gonna be in my life or whatever, or that it was in my life or you know what I mean. But I love that so much because yeah, it is training for the mind to be on the lookout for the amazing things instead of
Mm-hmm.
the things that are going wrong. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love
Yeah, I
that.
mean, how many times do you have a really great day right before a vacation or right before a weekend? Right before you're expecting everything to be good. And then you
Yeah.
get all these bonus good things like, oh, I had the best Friday ever, or I had the best day.
Yeah. Yeah. Or for some
Yeah.
people, it's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed because I need to like not forget this and bring that and blah, 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 blah. So, but yeah, that's like the different vibe that we can experience and like which one will we choose? Because ultimately, like I think
Hmm.
you've mentioned that, but we're the one creating our reality. And so like we get to choose however we want to feel. So if we want to feel light and fun and passionate, then what do we have to choose to feel those things? How do we get to be like who do we get to be to experience those things in our lives? And I love that. So thank you very much. That's so
You're
fun.
welcome. Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
just having this conversation with me. I love it.
I know, me too. That's what I really love about also like connection with people. It's like
Mm.
all of the magic that we're creating together. It's not just like, yes, we all have our own magic inside, but like when we're bringing it together, it's like, ooh, we have like so much more dimensions to play with. And then like we're bouncing off things out of each other and we're like, it's fun. And I don't know. It's just so much more
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing like talking, especially in this medium on a podcast. There's just nothing like talking heart to heart
Yeah.
with somebody, with another
Yeah.
sister
I
or
love
a
that.
brother.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I love that so much. Thank you so much. I would like to ask you, would you like to talk about your offers in the moment and like what you're working on and things
Sure.
like that? Yeah.
So I don't know what when you're going to publish this, but next Tuesday, which is September 2nd, I am opening the doors for a breathwork evening session. It is totally free. We'll do some
Wow.
hanging out, we'll do some bonding, we'll definitely do some breathing. So that'll be a chance for people to get a free taste of breath work, which I do every once in a while, but we're going to do it this coming Tuesday on September that's September 2nd, I think.
Yeah. The
So one
Tuesday, yeah.
week from yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no rush. So for if people are listening to this and it's past then, there'll be a link which I can give you, and that will bring them into my world where there is opportunities for live session for Zoom sessions. So breathwork, you don't have to be in New Mexico. I teach over the internet. I teach over Zoom where we're talking right now. So I am doing that. I also, for anybody who is here, I do practice locally and I
Oh,
have
beautiful.
events from time to time. But
Oh,
I think
yeah.
globally, the best way, obviously, is to come to that live session. And if somebody cannot make it, but they want to join an online session, just reach out to me. I'll make it a
Beautiful.
sweet first time deal.
Beautiful. Yes, I will be posting this episode tomorrow, so Thursday the 28th. So it'll be just perfect timing to for people if they want to join your free
Yes.
magical offer. So I'm excited for
I
that.
would love that. I will definitely give you a link so they can sign up for this coming Tuesday.
Perfect. Thank you. And
And if
where
somebody wants
yeah,
to sign up and for some reason they realize they can't make it, but they've actually gone through the process of signing up, then I will this time also for free, just because I want to reach as many hearts as possible, I will include a limited time replay where they can get it for a few extra.
beautiful. Oh no, you're cutting out. Hi.
Where did we leave off?
That you were saying about like the replays that will be up for a couple of
Yes,
days.
yes. They should just follow the link which I'll send you, and that'll get them right in.
Perfect. Thank you. And where can people find you?
I will include. So I am Rebecca Happy Breaths. Um, that is on Instagram at Rebecca Happy Breaths. I can send you a link for that as well. I also have a Facebook group for both my podcast and for all the breathwork announcements. That's a real nice community to join. And then I have my podcast, the Bloom with a Boom podcast.
Mm, such a beautiful name. I love that. Thank you so
Thank you. Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're just a ray of sunshine. I love
Thank
talking to you.
you.
Your
Thank you.
pure heart energy.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I think what I really feel like with the community is that we truly see in others what we have. And so for you to see this in me, it's because you have it too. So thank you. It was
Oh, you're so welcome.
yeah, it was very amazing. I just loved our conversation and I'm just so excited to talk to you in the near future. And I'm always happy to see you and to chat with you whenever we are on weekly calls. But yeah, thank you so
Yes,
much for
same.
being here.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. This was just an absolute blast. I love you,
Yeah.
girl.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone for watching the replay. And yeah, so thank you. Have a great day.